basically whenever you are asked to examine something, whether critically or normally examine or analyze, in both the times you have to highlight both pros and cons of it. Right. In this particular question, you have only provided the negative aspect of it, but you haven't provided the positive aspects of it. Here also, your introduction is not at all linked to the demand of the question. Right, you could have simply given the context.
So even all these three should also be separate subheadings sort of.
Yes, these will be the subheadings. With respect to the conclusion, try to keep your conclusions as broad as possible. And try to use at least one keyword in your conclusion. So see, even if you don't want to give the subheading, try to start your sentence with the keyword. Okay, what is happening is your keywords are coming at the end of your sentence. Yes, so that the evaluator has to read the entire sentence. Okay, if the keywords come at the beginning itself, he will read only that part. He will understand, okay, what part you are covering. He will skip that. He will go on to next one. These are your powers and functions. And you are elaborating or you are substantiating each point using the example as well. Try to substantiate your point using the examples and don't miss out on the key points from the static.
I started my full-fledged preparation after I joined the Ultimate Assessment Program in February-March 2022 at Civilsdaily.
There is a 12-month strategy which I have done on Civilsdaily platform only.
I reached out to the Civilsdaily team.
Current affairs में Civilsdaily.
For Civilsdaily, my mock interview with Civilsdaily, I got a really good boost of confidence.
Civilsdaily.
Whenever you are getting any question with respect to the constitutional provision, always the first point should be the respect to constitutional provision. Okay. Firstly, your heading would be states duty to protect. So under duty, first, constitutional mandate. Okay. So under Article 22, this much only you can write, and then you can write the 4 grounds on which preventive detention is allowed. Right. So under Article 22, preventive detention is allowed for security of the state, maintenance of public order, maintaining essential services, and foreign relations. Right. That is the static part. So first, that has to be there. Okay. So remember this. Okay. Similarly, if you get a question on the defamation, okay, constitutional mandate. So it has been added as a reasonable restriction under Article 19(2). That right. With dignity. So here your points are mixed. You are nowhere you are segregating the duty and then this. Right. But whenever you are justifying any of the provisions which are there in the constitution, but which are criticized, like the sedition, like defamation, the preventive detention. So first is your first justification, constitutional mandate. Okay. The second justification is the safeguards. Right. So even though it has been provided in the Constitution also provides sufficient amounts of these safeguards.
Safeguards.
Right. So for preventive detention, you have the safeguard like the detainee has to convey the grounds for the detention within 24 hours. He has the right to representation. Those are the safeguards. No? Then third point, again, the judicial validation.
So even all these three should also be separate subheadings sort of.
Yes, these will be the subheadings. Right. This. So here, judicial validation mentions some of the cases of the judiciary where it has upheld that provision. Right. Every such provision has been challenged in Indian court and Supreme Court has validated that provisions. Right. So it is specifically in Mariyappan case where Supreme Court has validated the provisions related to preventive detention. Then you can write any of the points. Okay. So remember this framework. This you can apply to other aspects as well. Right. So if you are talking about constitutional mandate, you provide the safeguards also. You provide the Supreme Court judgments. Okay. Yes. Now the point that you have written are with respect to individual rights, not found in any other democratic constitution. Example here again, always if your points are not self-explanatory, try to substantiate it using the example. Here you have substantiated using specific judgment. Right, here also you can substantiate it using examples. US,
Name from other democracies.
UK, right? And even countries like Nigeria. Yeah, now that becomes a complete specific points. Okay. So this is the the precision that I talked about. You always try to substantiate your point using data or example. Yeah, again, against freedom of movement. So here also, chilling effect. That can be your subheading. Okay. So now, whenever you are mentioning that particular provision goes against any of the fundamental right, you can make chilling effect as your subheading. Okay. Right against arbitrary detention. Okay. Principles of natural justice against principle of social contract. Okay. Here also, principle of social contract, then in bracket, then Locke and Hobbes.
Right.
Yeah, these were the scholars who have provided the social contract. No? And here also, you haven't provided a single example. The preventive detention under the preventive detention during emergency, right? Preventive detention after abrogation of Article 370, and preventive detention of leaders after abrogation of Article 370, right? So those examples you need to add. And while justification of this state's duty to protect, there also preventive detention during the Delhi riots. It's there also you should have provided the justification. Okay. This one would have come under judicial validation point.
Right.
Okay. Then so if you would have used the tabular format, your point would have ended here. The both. You could have get at least this much space for way forward, and here you could have provided short conclusion. Okay. Then with respect to the conclusion, try to keep your conclusions as broad as possible. Okay, and try to use at least one keyword in your conclusion. Okay. So for example, you have rule of law. You can mention the rule of law. Right. Thus, the procedural safeguards in preventive detention are needed in order to ensure the rule of law. Right, and you can give the rule of law, you can give the colon to it, you can underline it. That becomes your key phrase. Right? Then secondly, critically examine. Here also you have missed the demand, provisions of new acts. Okay. So yes, one demand that you have missed is critically examine. So basically, whenever you are asked to examine something, whether critically or normally examine or analyze, okay, anything, in both the times you have to highlight both pros and cons of it. Right. In this particular question, you have only provided the negative aspect of it, but you haven't provided the positive aspects of it. Right. Here also, your introduction is not at all linked to the demand of the question. Right, you could have simply given the context. So after the Anup Barewal judgment, Parliament has enacted an act to provide for the procedure for appointment of the election commission, chief CEC and ECs. Right. That could have been your introduction, the contextual introduction. That would have been relevant to the demand of the question as well. Okay. First. Then provisions are fine. Here also, try to give the subheadings in your answers. Okay. Search committee could have been subheading. Okay, so the selection. It is not the search committee. There are two committees. One is the selection committee, which involves Prime Minister, the leader of opposition, and it is not the Home Minister but Union Minister. Okay, and second is the search committee, which will identify the eligible candidates, and it will involve Cabinet Secretary.
Right.
Okay, that you have missed. So here also, rather than writing this, it provides for that is not needed.
Not
Okay,
required, right?
Selection committee, PM, the leader of opposition, and Union Cabinet Minister. That's it. Okay, or if you want, collegium of these three. That's it. Okay. This to be decided by government. Then issues against principle of conflict of interest. So here also you have to explain it how it is against principle of conflict of interest. Right. But here
So I was
also if you
supposed to give some example here also, right?
yes, or how it goes against the principle of conflict of interest. Okay, first of all, you haven't provided any of the positives of the act. Right. So positives you can simply give the points like yes, whatever the provisions are there. So from that provision, you can simply derive the positives. Earlier, only the government used to appoint. Now, the leader of opposition is also there. That means the greater. So, see, the points like as it provides for the collegium of including leader of opposition, there is a greater credibility. Right. In elaboration, simply you can mention as leader of opposition is also member of collegium. That's it. Okay. Then they have given the qualification criteria. Six, the commission needed autonomy. So greater autonomy. Yes. So yes. So these 3 points you can add. Right. So the credibility, why? If you know the provisions from that provisions itself, you can get the positives of the act. Right. So greater credibility, then they have provided the qualification criteria as well. Then that will ensure the greater autonomy of the Election Commission of India. Right. And if you have autonomous Election Commission of India, what will happen?
Free and fair elections.
Yes, free and fair elections. Okay. And this will also increase public trust.
Legitimacy.
Okay. And this, because of this, there is strengthening of democracy. Right. This. So you can derive the points and positives. Again, negatives leave scope for compromise in the functioning of the. So here, again, this is leaves scope for the compromise in the functioning of commission. But you haven't substantiated it. How it leaves scope for the compromise?
Right.
You have to mention the specific provision which leaves the scope for the compromise. No? Right. And again, if you see, the out of 3 members, 2 members are from the government. Right. So your automatic point should come executive dominance. Right. Second, in the question itself, they have mentioned so no intervention of judiciary in appointment. It is not the intervention.
Consultation. Yeah.
Consultation you can mention, or you can simply mention SC guidelines not followed. Right. Then again, the qualification criteria that they have mentioned, that qualification criteria mentions that the EC or CEC should be at the level of secretary in Government of India. Right. That means they will be IAS officers. Right. That means there is no scope for specialized election commissioners. You are again appointing the generalized IAS officers. Right? So you have to derive points in this way. Okay. Then again, with respect to election commission also, you know the various reforms that are needed in election commission, like the financial autonomy, the functional autonomy, right? They don't have their own staff or the secretariat, right? You can derive a point from that also. The important aspect related to autonomy, like financial autonomy, functional autonomy, okay, were not provided under the act. This is also you can derive the point. Okay?
Right.
Yes. So the points that you have written, okay, they are very generic. Okay, you
And
haven't
specific things have not been provided.
Yes. So see, your point needs to be self-explanatory. You have written that leaves scope for compromise in functioning of commission. But how it leaves the scope? Where it leaves the scope? Right? That you haven't mentioned. Now, when I say executive dominance, okay, then
Giving a scope for compromise, that would have been better.
yes, 2 out of 3 members are from government. That is my elaboration. So this proves the executive dominance. Right, I will write SC guidelines not followed in elaboration, non-involvement of CJ in collegium or selection committee. Okay, this is the elaboration of this. Right. Now when I say executive dominance, why executive dominance? Because 2 out of 3 members are from government. So this way you have to write. Here also, this is not at all a point. How it is different that you have to mention.
Right. So where I should have put this Anup Baranwal things, because I have to put it.
So in introduction itself we are putting it. No?
Introduction I should have. The contextual introduction that I should have put.
Right. If you want to mention it here is simply bracket, you can mention Anup. Okay. Then criticism of Supreme Court. This is also not at all the demand. Okay. After that you simply conclude.
Right.
Okay. Again. Here the introduction is fine. Main principles. Again, try to make the subheadings. Okay. So there is a Council of Ministers responsible to the lower Parliament's lower house. So this is the collective responsibility.
So collective responsibility should have been the heading, and there I should have written.
Yes. Yes. No. Subject to consisting of the ministers of cabinet rank. Okay. Here itself, if you underline this becomes your subheading. Okay. So you see, even if you don't want to give the subheading, try to start your sentence with the keyword. Okay. What is happening is your keywords are coming at the end of your sentence. Okay. So that the evaluator has to read the entire sentence.
Right.
Okay. If the keywords come at the beginning itself, he will read only that part. He will understand, okay, what part you are covering. He will skip that. He will go on to next one. Okay, because see, the evaluators in UPSC have zero accountability.
Right.
Okay, and they check your paper in maximum of 20 minutes. Okay, so if you irritate them, they will give you less marks. If you make their jobs easier, you are going to get good marks. Okay, and how you are going to ease their jobs is by increasing the visibility of your key points. Okay, so even if they are only reading your key points, and if they get satisfied, okay, the dimension coverage is good, ठीक है, they will quickly check your paper, they will get satisfied, they will give you good marks. ठीक है, प्राइम मिनिस्टर, ठीक है, president for to provide, ठीक है, Siemens and together. This again under the collective responsibility, but you have missed the core aspects again. The cabinet form of government, the principles of cabinet form of government. In India, they have no legal responsibility. Yeah, the individual responsibility. These are the important aspects which you missed. This is completely static question from Lakshmikant. Okay, so exactly whatever you are written in whatever is there in Lakshmikant, that should come as it is. Okay, with subheadings. Okay. And then the role and function of cabinet committee. Here again, try to make the subheading. Again, you miss the important role, that is the division of labor. So this could have been your subheading. No, division of labor and effective delegation. These are the core principles of your cabinet, no? It is given in Lakshmikant as well. Come on, यार, आपका ऑप्शनल पीएस है,
राइट,
पॉलिटी के वर्ड्स आपके आने ही चाहिए आपके आंसर्स में, ठीक है, बिकॉज योर ऑप्शनल इज पीएस है, यू शुड टारगेट 125 प्लस इन जीएस पेपर 2, ठीक है, यू आर ऑलरेडी getting better marks than the others in the IR section, right? So 50 मार्क में आपको वैसे ही एज मिल रहा है, ठीक है, in polity also you should get good marks,
right?
So बाकी governance में, ठीक है, we will improve if we can improve the presentation, we will get decent, ठीक है, social justice तो सभी को आता ही है, so give a very good reading to Lakshmikant, ठीक है, like you are reading it for the first time, and focus upon 3 P's while reading Lakshmikant, ठीक है, one is the powers and functions, so जितने भी bodies के powers and functions दिए, प्राइम मिनिस्टर हो, चीफ मिनिस्टर हो, वाइस प्रेसिडेंट पे पूछा है उन्होंने क्वेश्चन, right? So powers and functions, one, and there you try to classify it, जैसे आप प्राइम मिनिस्टर के पावर्स लक्ष्मीकांत में कैसे दिए, with respect to president, with respect to parliament, with respect to council of ministers, other, जहाँ पे भी powers and functions है, try to classify it. लक्ष्मीकांत में दिया है तो वही याद रखो, नहीं दिया है तो you classify. Second, procedure. तो जितने प्रोसीजर्स है, प्रेसिडेंट के इम्पीचमेंट हो, आपका बिल पासिंग का हो, जॉइंट सिटिंग का हो, जितने प्रोसीजर्स है लक्ष्मीकांत में, वो क्रोनोलॉजी प्रॉपर याद रहनी चाहिए, ठीक है. एंड थर्ड इज द प्रोविजंस. हियर यू हैव टू ऐड द क्रॉस सेक्शनल अप्रोच, ठीक है, जैसे वुमन ले लिया तो वुमन के रिलेटेड जितने कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोविजंस है, अंडर फंडामेंटल राइट, डीपीएसपी, फंडामेंटल ड्यूटीज, देन दी 73rd 74th. सिमिलरली कोऑपरेटिव ले लिया, कोऑपरेटिव के रिलेटेड कौन से प्रोविजंस है, रिजर्वेशन ले लिया सेम, एससी एसटी ले लिया सेम, माइनॉरिटी ले लिया सेम, ठीक है. लास्ट ईयर ही आपका क्वेश्चन था कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल पर्सपेक्टिव ऑन जेंडर जस्टिस, ठीक है, आपके सारे पॉइंट्स आए थे, फंडामेंटल राइट, डीपीएसपी, फंडामेंटल ड्यूटीज, 73rd 74th अमेंडमेंट एक्ट, चारों आए थे.
डोंट रिमेंबर इट, दे शुड हैव कम, मतलब कुछ तो छूटा होगा.
यस एग्जैक्टली, ठीक है, क्योंकि आपने पढ़ा ही वैसे नहीं था. So give a good reading to Lakshmikant from this. Then you miss this division of labor and effective delegation. So by the bureaucracy for important days. Again you miss the role and functions. And see, effective delegation. So what is the role of here? Simply you can give the temporal aspect. Give one, policy formulation, right? In elaboration you can directly give the example. Important economic decisions are taken by cabinet committee on economic affairs, ठीक है. After policy formulation, with respect to implementation, coordination, right? They coordinate with different ministries with respect to implementation of the
Policies.
policies. Okay. And third, with respect to monitoring. Great. So this is your temporal approach. Formulation, implementation, monitoring. Example also, Cabinet Committee on Parliament Affairs monitors the government business in Parliament. Right. Then again you have the Appointments Committee. So important appointments are done by the Appointments Committee. That's it. These are your powers and functions. And you are elaborating or you are substantiating each point using the example as well. Right.
Right.
That try to substantiate your point using the examples and don't miss out on the key points from the static. ठीक है, ये सारे लक्ष्मीकांत के पॉइंट हैं and you are missing out on them. ठीक है. And then fourth principle of subsidiarity. ठीक है. Transformation from representative to participatory. Okay, trickle down democracy characteristics. These 2 points can come under this only. No? Participatory only we have mentioned.
No, I mean वो इंट्रोडक्शन में डाला था ऊपर वाला.
But ये इसी के नीचे आ सकते थे ना वो points. They can be the part of main body. Trickle down of the democracy at grassroots level. Again, you simply give the examples from provisions or of ठीक है. Women in politics 40%. Here also the representation. It can be your subheading. ठीक है. अब इतना फिर brought women into politics, no need. You can simply write women 40% in states like Bihar, Rajasthan, more than 50%. Okay, that's it, one line. Then SC, ST representation in proportion of population. ठीक है. This becomes the specific and precise points. इतना लिखने की आपको जरूरत ही नहीं है.
I'm probably writing too much grammar, which is not required.
Yes. Now focus upon the substantiation aspect. ठीक है. Education and health. ठीक है. Then again participatory. So how they are made participatory? You missed again the key aspects. Gram Sabha. Whenever you are talking about any provision or any of the act or any of the policy, try to substantiate whatever you are writing using the specific provisions. ठीक है. जैसे ग्राम सभा, you have district planning committees. This is also part of the participatory governance. No?
Right.
Okay, then you have the representation, but again you have given women representation ka point, but you have missed out on SC ST representation. Right? It's, could not become deliberative. Democratic process limited up to election issues of here again. Okay, this is a good point. So you can write it in this way only. But again, here you can substantiate using the data. Okay, simply get a bracket less than 1% of own revenue generation. Right? Or uneven devolution of powers by the state government under the Schedule 11 and 12. Tools of Gram Sabha are ineffective. Now this is a good point. Yeah, you are saying it is ineffective and you are mentioning substantiating it using giving the report. Okay, don't need to write source, you can simply bracket and write. That's it. Okay. Corruption and political profits. This is again good point. Yeah, again here also now this point is perfect point. Okay, this is a complete point, but length of the point is of 5 lines. Right. So what you can do, corruption and political interference. You can skip this part.
Right.
Okay. Example, 40% of the roads under PM Gram Sabha Yojana. Okay. And then repair within 1 year. Right. That. Here again, if remember this one, whenever you are highlighting any of the negative points or the limitations, okay, or the challenges, always provide the way forwards. Yeah, here even though they specifically haven't asked the way forward, you can use the diagrammatic representation. So whenever there is no specific demand with respect to way forward, use the diagrammatic representation, simply mention the keywords. That's it. Okay, way forward. Yes. The effective delegation. Yeah, or the second ARC has recommended creating this the fourth subject under the 7th schedule. No, center, state and the local bodies. And then like that you give only 3 way forwards. And then if you give the way forward, okay, so your conclusion, this much conclusion would have sufficed. Gandhian vision of Panchayat Raj system needs reform to become grass, or it will become grass without. ठीक है, so ये आपका generic ही है वैसे भी. Right. This, if you provide the way forward, it becomes specific.
Here, what I thought was, when I'm going to write about grass without roots, I should have given the context of grassroots democracy, but not required.
Okay. Or to use the topper's way. Okay, what you can write, to prevent PRIs becoming grass without roots. Okay, and you write the way forward in this way. This is Dikshita Kishore. The very first answer, and this is even the art and culture. With example, discuss how cultural tradition from various regions of India get reflected in regional music. What she has done, the recent proposal for museum for Carnatic music reflect their importance to break free from colonial mindsets. They must be protected with, and she has given way forwards. Yes, similarly, you could have done to prevent PRIs from becoming grass without roots. Yeah, then we could have given way forwards. It is also the way. Then coming to the next, Indian constitutional liberty, equality, fraternity. Again, see, avoid the articulative language that never fetches you any marks. Okay, your content and the content richness provide the mark, not the literally richness. ठीक है, the beautiful minds of the constituent assembly. जब आपके पास कंटेंट नहीं होगा तब you go for this. ठीक है, here simply the preamble of Indian Constitution provides for trinity of liberty, equality, fraternity are the objective of Indian state. That's it. Your objective of Indian Constitution. That's it. इससे आपका intro भी concise हो जाएगा.
Correct.
Silos, liberty granted, subject to state. Good. These are the good points. Yeah, but again we can explain example. Tax family put on inequality.
Right.
Without liberty, there cannot be toleration and no fraternity. ठीक है? Example: civil wars in Upper Syria. Right. Without fraternity, equality, and liberty would simply lead to chaos. ठीक है? When chaos कोई नीचे अभी can rise in communalism.
Right.
There is no brotherhood that leads to communalism.
Right.
Right. That. Again, you could have concised this. Keep your conclusions as brief as possible. Today I have created a group and I have uploaded the toppers copy. तो मुझे किसी भी टॉपर कॉपी का 5 या 6 लाइन का कंक्लूजन दिखाओ, 2 या 3 क्वेश्चन छोड़ के. ठीक है, you could have simply written the trinity of liberty, equality, the trinity of liberty, equality, fraternity is also recognized by Supreme Court in Enrollment's case. That's it. ठीक है.
So before, I mean, it may not be applicable in this question, but in other questions, I should be putting things like way forward, or I mean, some criticism if it is, even if it is not asked, so that my conclusion is limited and I can put some other dimension also.
Yes. So in this question also you can provide the way forward. There is no restriction on providing the way forward. It basically shows your problem solving skills, okay, which are expected from you as an administrator. Okay. Then you simply read the Supreme Court has also recognized the trinity in Monroe Mills case. It needs to be promoted through right, right, and this also you can write. Okay, or the simple way is after this only you provide the way forward. If you don't want to combine your conclusion and way forward, right? That is also the way. Then it's fine if you don't provide this in this particular case. But see, the points you have written are good. But again, what we have said, what is the demand of the question?
Examine.
That means arguments in support and argument against.
Okay, and there should have been at least something in favor of social morality also.
Yes, because without social morality, there can't be no legitimacy of the constitutional morality.
Right.
Take the example of your Sabrimala judgment, where the Supreme Court allowed or the woman to enter into the Sabrimala temple. But if you see, when there was actually a time to enter into the temple, they prepared a wall around the temple to prevent some of the activists to enter. Okay, and in that wall, the majority were women only. So it was opposed by the women only. Right. So until and unless where the social morality and constitutional morality go hand in hand, there can't be no social transformation.
Right.
So here also these points that you should have written Okay. The supremacy of constitutional morality. Under it, you write the point. Okay. So whenever you are talking about the constitutional morality, okay, or similar philosophical questions related to the constitution, remember the dimensions that I am giving. Are you noting down these points?
Yes, I am.
So first, the constitutional ideals. Okay. So in elaboration, you can mention the right to choose under Article 21. Okay, that is in context of same-sex marriage. Then, so constitutional ideals के बाद, second, progressive realization of rights. Okay, example, what you can put? Right to privacy under Article 21. Okay, this. Then progressive constitutional ideals. So from constitutional ideal, there is progressive realization of rights. And when there is progressive realization of rights, there is social
Justice.
transformation. Right? From traditional to modern. Okay? That. Then fourth, from this, you can have egalitarian social order. Okay, so I say from one point you have to derive 2 to 3 points. Okay, this is how you increase your dimension coverage.
Right. So when we are writing, let's say I've started this one dimension, then when I'm starting, मेरे दिमाग में शायद probably these 4 things will not be at once, right? I'll be writing the first point and then probably second, third, and fourth may come later.